All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly 30-minute webinar. My name is Dan Schmidt, Systems Engineer here at Variphy, and I'll be your host today. Today, I'm joined with Mike Stratton, another Systems Engineer at Variphy, and in today's webinar, we're going to be covering a topic that is a continuation of last week's webinar on CCX wallboarding. However, this week, we're going to be covering a popular feature with those users that have UCCX. That's our fully customizable UCCX agent-based reporting feature. So a quick agenda for today's webinar. We're going to start off with a quick overview of our company and what we do, and then also a little bit about what CCX is. We'll jump right into a live demo from Mike and guide you through creating and running CCX agent-based reports. Next, we'll pause for some Q&A and get some of your questions answered. During the demo, if you have any questions, please make sure to ask them in the Q&A panel in the bottom right-hand corner of the WebEx screen. After Q&A, we'll reward one lucky attendee a $50 Amazon gift card, so hang tight and see if you've won. So a quick overview of Variphy. Variphy is the preferred analytics and management solution for Cisco collaboration. We provide industry-leading CDR reports and call analytics, customizable dashboards and widgets, UCCX reporting, remote phone control, change management, DN and DID management. But today, we're going to be covering UCCX agent-based historical reporting. If you have any other questions on any of the other features that we offer, you can most definitely take them offline and we'll get those answered for you. Before we get started today, we want to announce that Variphy now offers a new service that provides managed consulting services to our customers. Variphy's systems engineering team will be engaged on a one-on-one basis to remotely provide additional consulting, unassisted reporting, dashboarding, configuration, and system monitoring assistance. This is a new service that provides a dedicated Variphy SE to do the heavy lifting of report creation and generation. So for more information, please contact us and we'd be glad to speak more in depth about the new service. So without further ado, I'll pass the ball over to Mike and we'll start showing you CCX agent-based reporting. Mike?
Thank you, Dan. Go ahead and share my screen. All right, we should be going. We're good to go. Today, I'm going to cover some common reporting questions and scenarios that we see on the support side for the CCX agent reports. But before I do, I just want to identify the differences between like a CSQ report and an agent report. The agent report is going to be more focused on calls at the agent level. An agent can place or receive calls that do not travel through a queue, whether it's inbound or outbound from their extension. These calls will not appear in a CSQ level report. And then on the opposite side, a call can come in, hit a queue, and not go to an agent, whether it's like abandoning queue or the call was, after like 5 minutes, it was scripted off the voicemail. So those calls won't appear in these reports, but those inbound and outbound calls that didn't travel through a queue will. So one of the questions, or like the most common question, kind of basic question that we receive is just basically, how many calls are my agents answering? And so I have a couple of templates built, and we'll take a look and just kind of see, how many inbound calls they're receiving. So we'll go start with this report, and I'll go ahead and edit it and kind of build it live here. We'll take a look at the data grouping. And so what we want to see is just kind of filter in on the inbound call stats. So we definitely want to do like select inbound counts, get that one out of there, inbound counts. And then we also want to see anything with like an ICD is a call that came into the queue. So we want to see like a count for the total number of calls that came to the agent through the queue, number of ICD calls that were handled, and definitely the number of ICD calls that were abandoned. And then if you want to report on move ICD from the search and just do inbound non-ICD counts. So this will give us a basic report that just gives us the number of counts for each agent. So we'll go ahead and save that and then run it. And run it for yesterday. It was running for yesterday. We'll go ahead and open that up. And what you have here is a report built around 4 different agents, and it shows their inbound count, inbound ICD count, inbound handled count from those ICD calls, how many abandoned calls they had, just how many non-ICD calls they have. So you can kind of see an overall trend as to who's answering more calls. Maybe someone's taking less calls. Like Monica here only has 22 calls compared to Ernest was 82. Maybe she's in training, maybe she's new to the company, maybe she is she only takes over the phones when someone's on lunch or on break, or maybe she's not just not answering her, not doing her job, not answering calls. So a report like this can kind of at a glance tell you, who's answering what, how many times are they answering it. And then from here, we can further customize the report and answer the second question that we get a lot is are these calls being transferred? I want to know if the agents are handling the calls themselves or are the agents transferring the calls, to a different part of the company. So we can modify that report, go under data grouping and search for the word transfer, and we'll add transfer out to the report. So we'll go ahead and save that, rerun the report. And now we've added a new column to the report, and we can see how many calls they've transferred out. So out of the 208 inbound calls that have come into these 4 agents, over almost 70% of them have been transferred out. Now, depending upon the organization, this could be a good thing, this could be a bad thing. But this is an important column to have if you're worried about calls coming in and then being transferred out. Close that out. Another question we receive is, how well, well, we know, how many calls are coming in. We know if they're transferring them out. Now we want to know how are they, how well are the agents handling the calls? What are they doing when the calls are being presented and they're answering? So we can take this report, make a copy using the copy function. We'll call it the inbound agent performance report. And then from there, we'll modify the data grouping. So we want to keep anything with an ICD, but we'll get rid of those non-ICD columns, and we'll keep ICD count, we'll keep the handle count, we'll keep the abandoned count. But then I also want to see some stats on the ICD handled calls. So we want to see talk time, how long they're spending on the phone with the customers or clients calling in. So we can do or add average talk time, we can add max talk time and total talk time. And then from there, we're also maybe concerned with the agents putting the callers on hold. I mean, I whenever I call into a call center, I hate being put on hold. So we can see how long each agent is putting the callers on hold for. And then we'll save this report and run it. And same search time. And we have a new report. So we can see the inbound count, the inbound ICD count. On report. Try that again. What you see here for the same 4 agents, we have the inbound ICD count, their handle count, and then their abandoned count from before. But now we can see how long they're on the phone for. We can see, per call, how long each agent spends with a customer or client. We can see the max amount of time that they spend. For here, Angel was on a call for 4 minutes and 16 seconds. Christopher and Ernest were both on calls for 6 minutes in duration. Here we can see how long how much of their shift is taken up on the phone. So out of each employee's 8-hour shift, Angel's only on the phone for an hour, Monica for 12 minutes, and Ernest an hour and 10 minutes. And then we can see how long they're putting people on hold for. So per call on average, Angel's putting someone on hold for 27 seconds. Max, Angel puts someone on hold for almost 5.5 minutes. Why? It's an important metric to look at. Why is Angel putting someone on hold for 5 minutes and 29 seconds? And then we can see total time. So Angel, out of the 56 minutes of talk time, on top of that, they're putting they're putting people on hold for an additional half hour. So we've seen, how they're taking calls, how they're coming in, but we also want to take a look at it to see how the agents are spending or what they're spending their time doing. So we'll go ahead and we can take a look at the agent state data. So we'll modify this report and we'll data grouping is turned off, call details are turned off, and we'll look at the states. So every time an agent either goes not ready, they're talking, they're working, they're logging in, logging out, it creates an agent state event. and we have we're able to run a report on that data and pull it out of the contact center. So we'll take a look. We'll include the event time. This tells us when the event occurred, what the event was, how long it happened for, and then the reason behind it. This is going to create kind of a lengthy report that we can pare down with additional filtering. We'll run it. So we have 913 agent state details amongst the 4 different agents. You can see when it occurred. You can see here like Angel logged in. They went not ready. And then they went not ready again. They're working on projects. They're temporarily away from their desk. And as you scroll through, you're going to see a lot of this. This is when an agent, just their normal duty of taking calls. So when a call comes in, they go reserved. And then when they answer the call, they're talking. And when the call ends, they're working. And then when the call's completed, they're ready again. And this will repeat over and over again as they're taking calls throughout their shift. So a lot of this is kind of just background noise in the report. And I really like to remove this. So what we'll do is we'll modify the report and remove those unnecessary agent states. When we're in the state details, you can go ahead and turn off the include all events option. And we really just want to see, when are they not ready? Because if they're not ready, then they're not taking calls. So we'll go ahead, we'll save that and run it again. Okay, so we have here are the not ready events for each agent. You can see here when Angel logged on, they were not ready. They worked for like an hour and a half on projects. They were temporarily away from their desk. Spent some time sending emails. They were on break. And then below, like we have Christopher. We can see when he logs in, he worked for an hour and a half on projects, and he took a break. He spent a good amount of time working on emails. He took a 2-hour lunch, worked on some more emails. In between, this was all in between taking calls. So this is great if you want to dig deep into the agent data, but a lot of this, if you're giving the reports like a manager or you just want to see the data at a glance, this kind of detail is maybe a bit much. So what we can do on top of that, we can further modify the report and go under the data grouping. And instead of looking at the call stats like we were for the previous report, we can go ahead and take a look at the agent state statistics up here. So we can add in some grouping. We can see how long they're logged in for as a placeholder. And we can see their ready time. So how long they're ready for time. We can see they're not ready. Not ready time. And their talking time. Now there are some other additional time values. If you filter for the word time, you'll get I get a bunch of different values, but you'll see some different not ready values. But really, we just want kind of like a general overview of what they're doing. And we can also add in percentages. So we can tell how much of their total time was, or the percent of their time was not ready, ready, and we'll take talking as well. So we'll add those 3 in. So up, talking, say that. So we'll save that, and we will run the agent state. I kept the detail in case you want to take a deeper dive into the data. And then we have here simple data grouping, single page at a glance. We can see what these agents are doing. So each agent was logged in for over 8 hours. They spent about between 53 minutes and 2 hours ready waiting for a call. Took up 27% of their total shift time combined. And then they're spending, out of the 35 hours or almost 36 hours they were logged in for, they spent 20 hours if not ready. So they spent 20, almost 21 out of their 36 hours, not available to take calls. That could be something that could be a red flag. We just see, why these agents aren't taking calls, or maybe they're not supposed to be. Maybe they have other duties besides answering calls from the call center. And here you can see how long they were talking for and the percent of their time that they spent talking on calls. So, this kind of highlights an issue. I was kind of surprised that they spent so much time not ready. If we want to build a report just looking at their not ready time, we can do that. We can take this agent state report, make a copy of it, and then build a agent state not ready report. So what we'll do, we will take the not ready time and we'll remove all of these, and then we'll just key off of not ready. So we definitely want to see, you can do average times, but what I want to see are the not ready times. So I'll add in the word time, the further filter. Now we can see the total not ready time, and we can select all these different values for all these different reasons for why they're not ready, but a lot of these may come back with zero duration. So I really want to kind of key in on what I saw in the detail, the values that I'm more concerned about. So I'm more concerned about maybe administrative notes. Definitely I saw email correspondence. I definitely saw projects. And Monica, she may be training, so we definitely want to see how much time she spent training. So we'll still keep in the details. We've kind of had the data grouping kind of key in on the not ready codes, and we'll save that and run it again. So we'll run the not ready report. And here we have the data grouping, the not ready data grouping for the 4 agents. You can see how long they were not ready for. None of them used any sort of administrative time. We can see how long they were writing emails, and we can see how long they're working on projects, and then we can see how long they spent on training. So Monica, you could be a new employee. She spent an hour and 23 minutes yesterday on training. But here is where all of the not ready time is coming out of. So out of the 21 hours of not ready time, 10 hours were spent working on projects and callouts. So, you can identify if this team maybe shouldn't be doing so much with projects and callouts, maybe they're understaffed, or maybe, a different department can take over this responsibility and give these agents more time to answer calls from the queue. The final kind of reporting question that we get, or that we often get, is we just want to see detail. We want to see what's coming into the agents, just kind of get an idea, call by call, what's being presented. So we can build an agent call detail report, and not so concerned about data grouping, although we can definitely add grouping or state details. But we kind of want to key in off of the call details. So we'll go ahead and we'll do. Pick some call details. We'll scroll down a little bit. You can see the entire list. A lot of different values we can pick on. We'll start off with the start time, when the call started. There are 2 different start times from contact center. When the call began, which would include queue time, so that would be the contact start time, or when the call was given to the agent or presented to the agent, that would be the connection start time. So because we're looking at the agents, we're going to include the connection start time. And we want to see caller ID, so we'll select the originator DN. Definitely want to see who's answering the call, so we'll look for the agent. Now, there's different agent values. Because the calls are being connected to the agent, we want to see the connected agent name. So we want to include the agent name. We can include the extension, and then we want to see which queue it came through. Then we want to see the times. We want to see how long the call is queued for. Their talking time, maybe a ring time. Move that up a little bit, and hold time. Not too concerned with work time or connect time. Connect time is the overall time of the call, so it essentially includes queue time, ring time, talk, hold, and work time all in one. Then maybe I want to see if those calls were transferred, so we'll go ahead and include the transfer as a an option. We will sort by agent name, and then I only up here I only have I created the search criteria for talk time. I only want to see the calls that they actually answered, and the calls where they actually spoke with a client. So I have everything greater than or equal to 1 second. We'll go ahead and save that, and then I'll run the report. Same search time. All right. And here are the call details for those agents. It's sorted by agents, so you'll see the caller ID, the agent name, their extension, which queue the call came through, queue time, ring time, talk time, and hold time. Here's that 5-minute hold time call, and then a column saying identifying if the call was transferred or not. It goes through the entire day, then it repeats for the next agent. Here's Christopher's data, then so on and so forth. Okay. And that's the last report example I have today. I guess, Dan, I'm passing it back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Great job as always. Thanks for showing us the ins and outs of CCX agent-based reporting. And so now, if we have a couple questions, please submit those in the Q&A panel. I'll just kind of read some of the others that have came through already. So the first question is from Hector. Hector wants to know, let's see here. Am I allowed to search for specific teams within my contact center? So Hector, yes, great question. In the first tab here, when building out a report, there's the basics tab. So we have three different filters, agent by name, team, or resource group. So the reports that Mike was showing was specific to specific agents. But yeah, you could certainly, we'll query out the teams of your CCX, and then you just pick and choose what teams you want to be shown on that report. So great question. Thanks, Hector. Second question, the question that came in is from Joy. Joy wants to know if she can, or can your reports display stats by hour? So Joy, at this time, the reports are basically a total summarization, and you'll see the details in a total. I am actually, this is good timing, I'm actually happy to say that in version 12.2, which is our next major release, that will give us the ability to provide time interval reporting, so hour, the number of calls per hour, number of calls per day over your time span of that you're searching for. So very similar to what we already do in our CDR call analytics, we'll be having the ability to do in our CCX reports as well. Brad wants to know, how often do these stats get updated? So Brad, these stats are actually live from the CCX database. So whenever the report is ran, we're going out, we're querying the database for the time frame that you're searching for. So whether it be a day's worth of reports or a month's worth of reports, we're taking that out of the CCX database itself. We are not storing these, and so there is no update period. Mike would like to know, how does this compare with CUIC? Mike, this is a good question. We get this all the time. So the main reason why we developed this is because there's a few limitations with CUIC. So CUIC actually imposes a data cap limitation. So depending on the deployment type of CUIC that you have, if it's co-res with CCX, you have a 3,000 record limit in any report or search that you do. If you have a separate server just for CUIC, a standalone server, they limit you to 8,000 records. So one of the most important restrictions that we do not have is a data cap limitation. You can pull as many records as you want, as long as it's there in the database for CCX, we'll pull it and display it in a report. One of the other benefits too is our report engine for CCX is very quick. I pulled 85,000 call records in a matter of 6 or 7 seconds, right? It's the data's there, we're just querying for it. So that's the second benefit. Third benefit is the ability to customize these reports. On a CUIC level, unless you have that standalone version and you know your programming languages, it's very difficult to customize these reports. They tell you what you need to see, and great, it's there. But if you want to, change it up a little bit and only display specific columns, we put a nice UI in front of that, and so make it a little bit easier, a little bit more friendly to digest what you want to see, not being told how to see it. So that's the three main comparisons with CUIC, Mike. So yeah, good question. All right, there's a question from Leslie. Let's see. If my current setup, let me actually change my view here. Leslie would like just to know, how do we go about building out that CCX server? Leslie doesn't see that in her mic, so if you can, if you're still sharing, basically we need to build out a CCX cluster, just like what we do with a CUCM cluster. We build that out using a couple different passwords. HR user password, so that's a default user ID in CCX that allows us to connect into and read data from the CCX database. And then also finesse admin and agent, or with the finesse user with the roles of administrator and agent, both of those being required to see all of your custom not ready reasons. Some of you may be familiar that, without the finesse user ID, when we pool the not ready reasons, it's actually only going to pool the unique identifier of that reason. So us using that finesse API really goes in, allows us to see and query based off of the exact reason. So as the agent sees it, maybe it's lunch, maybe it's break, maybe it's internal meeting, whatever that reason is. That's what we'll be able to query off of. So. Any other questions from any of the other attendees? All right. Well, if there is no other questions, Mike, if I could have the ball back, I'll go ahead and share out my screen again. And if anyone else does have any questions, right, feel free to email us offline, and we'll certainly get those answered for you. All right. And so now the moment of time that we've all been waiting for. Today's winner for today's webinar is Kin Chin. Kin, thank you for joining today's webinar. We'll be in touch here shortly after the meeting here, and we'll get in touch to see how we can get this gift card over to you. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Just as a wrap-up and as a reminder, if you haven't known already, we are hosting a 2020 block party. So in the absence of Cisco Live, we are doing our own 100% virtual live event. So we got a lot in the works for all of our attendees. June 1st and 2nd, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So 2 hours each day. We'll have deep dive technical sessions similar to this. We'll have a lot of prizes to give away. So prizes worth $10,000 combined. So a lot of chances to win. And just as a general reminder too, so for playback of previous webinars or to take a look at our up and coming webinars, please visit variphy.com/company/webinars. We'll have everything webinar related posted up on there. And for any interest in these feature trials, visit variphy.com/trial to get your hands and evaluate these features that we're talking about. So once again, thank you everyone for joining our session today. Go out, be safe, and please be nice to one another. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye-bye.